Pedro, I will open the lecture today, and then the floor is yours. Hello, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks so much for coming. Do you hear me, Pedro?
Perfectly.
Okay, very good. We are here at Alpen-Adria University in Klagenfurt in Carinthia, Austria. And we have one lecture, one part of the big lecture, Human and Machine, a Social Impact Assessment. And the aim of our lecture is to think together as human intelligence, as collective human intelligence about the following open questions. How is it possible that our digital age becomes more democratic, more diverse, more sustainable? So these are very, very big open questions. We face a lot of open challenges like the climate change, like biodiversity problems, like the wasting of materials, a lot of natural materials, like a very big gap between poor and rich, between south and north, between the genders. And today we want to think together how it could be possible to make the internet, to make our digital societies more diverse and more equal and democratic. And I'm very glad that Pedro Giacobetti from University of Potsdam is here now, and he will present his actual research to us, and afterwards we want to discuss this concerning these open questions. And Pedro, please, at the first, could you tell us something about your person, about your life, about your biography, and how did you come to your research, to your actual research, please?
Okay, so when I was a young boy, I thought that I would not want to. First, I was born in Portugal. I lived near Lisbon. I was studying, and when I was in high school, I thought that I would find myself. I wanted to get quickly integrated in the labor force, so I wanted to be independent. I didn't want to study much, so I took a small 1 or 2 years specialized high school about computer science, because this was the 90s, and people were saying that, okay, if you want to, have autonomy, you should study computer science. So I did these 2 years, the last 2 years of high school, with some disciplines of computer science, and then the others like physics, maths, normal. After 2 years, I decided, no, I don't want to study computer science. This is clearly not for me. So I enrolled in the program of sociology, because I thought, no, I want to study people. So I studied sociology, and I did my master's in sociology. And then in my PhD, when I started to, during my PhD, there was a time that I was reading and writing, and I needed a puzzle. I needed something to get my head out of the, because sometimes can be dense. So I decided to use learning Python, learning a programming language. And so I did, and then I understood that I could use it for research. And part of this is what I'm going to present. This made me very attuned to questions of technology, my background and my trajectory, with, I would say, from the perspective of sociology, but at the same time, a bit deeper in the technical domains that usually social scientists have a different kind of knowledge and toolkits. So yeah, that's me. That's why I have this bit hybrid approach to things. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yes, thank you so much that you are here. And perhaps are there any questions to Pedro? No, until now, not. So we are curious to your presentation. We will try to change the computer the screen to your presentation. You know what to do. You have to pick a little each. Yes. Okay, now we have to finish the departure of the screen. This one? Yeah, okay. No? Where is Pedro's?
He has to share.
He has to share. Okay, he has to upload. Pedro?
I need to upload it. Can I just send it to you? Yes?
Okay, yes.
Or should I upload it somewhere? Can I? In shared notes or?
No, he can upload it. He has the same button, or he shares his screen. He has to press.
Isn't those mean presentation rights?
He has them.
Oh, he has them.
Yeah, because he
has the presentation rights. Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
The plus, so he has to.
If they're square, they have to.
Can I don't find the share screen. Is it take presenter?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, if I say take presenter, now I can I see I can control the slides, but I cannot share my screen. So maybe I send it over to you, or what do you think is the best?
Then send it over to me. This is one thing, and the other thing you could press the plus. You could press the plus, and the plus asks you zum Präsentator werden.
Share camera as context. Share an external video. Upload. Upload or manage presentation. Okay. Let me see if I can just upload mine. One moment.
Okay. But you can send it to me as well. You could do both.
Okay. It's uploading. Or should I already there's also if it has problems with the okay. They are processing, it says. Okay, it's processing, almost done.
Yes.
Okay, so current. If I press current, can you see? Okay, great.
We can see it.
Oh, it works.
Yes,
perfect.
It works. It's surprising. Surprisingly, it works.
Great. Good teamwork then. Okay, thank you very much. This presentation, I called it Knowing Like a Computer, and I'm trying to investigate a bit how computers know, and now we'll always have like these square quotes because we're not talking about knowledge as humans, but we're talking about AI, and AI does seem to have some kind of something that seems to simulate knowledge or emulate knowledge or have the same outputs as knowledge in some regards. Probably not all. Probably this is something that is very hard to actually understand what it is. But this is what I want to bring today. The idea of knowledge. And I have this ugly word, epistemology. Epistemology is just the study of knowledge. So first thing that I would like to talk about is the idea of representation, right? So when we talk about representation, it's actually interesting because we're talking about things like language. So for instance, how are women represented in the media? Like traditionally it was one way, then now it's a different way, right? So representation is something that has this somewhat linguistic or communicative dimension, but it also has a political dimension. For instance, the representation of workers in the parliament or the representation of the ecological movement, right? So, and I think this is an important concept for us to start, right? Representation. And also it's not just in society that we use these terms, because in computer science, they also use the term representation, like how do models represent things, right? So this is the first idea that I would like to bring, that maybe we're talking about things that have a political dimension, have a communicative dimension, and have also a technical dimension, right? So how do artificial intelligence work? Maybe you're familiar with this, but what we call knowledge training learning is actually not really representational in the sense that we use in communication and politics, but it's more like number crunching. It's arithmetic operations. So it's almost mechanical. I would even say that this is non-representational, because it's pure machinic operation, right? Number crunching. And I like this cartoon that says that, so is this how your machine learning works? And he says, yes, I have this pile of algebra, and you get, inputs, passes through this pile of algebra, and it gives me outputs. And then he says, what if the outputs are wrong? And the answer is, you stir it around, you change the numbers until the answer is right. And it's a bit like this. If you have enough variables, every problem becomes trivial. So in a way, this is to demystify it, right? We're not talking about knowledge and thinking. We're talking about number crunching. And, even though we get sometimes similar results, I think it's important to understand that this is a different thing altogether, right? So how does it work? Neural networks, there's nodes, neurons, which are numbers. They transmit signals to connected neurons or nodes. Signals are also numbers, and the connections have weights, which are also numbers. So it's all numbers, right? All the way down. So if this is what we're dealing with, then what is AI knowledge, right? So how does AI know? And this is the exploration that I was pursuing, that I would like to share with you. So first, I decided to search online academic literature. There's a Scopus database that has academic papers, it has abstracts, it has citation, authors, affiliations. So I thought, okay, how do we look into machine knowledge, right? So I thought I will search keywords. That's why there's key in the beginning. And then I have the first set of keywords, which is deep learning or neural network or artificial intelligence. And so I want either any of these terms and things like representation or knowledge, and then other keywords, right? So knowledge or encoding, because encoding is another way to say how to transform, let's say, the things that we recognize into things that machine recognizes. Knowledge acquisition, feature representation, representation learning, knowledge. So the idea was to understand what is knowledge, right? And what is representation and what is encoding. So I wanted all of this literature. And then I applied something called a neural topic model. And a neural topic model, in this case, is called BERT topic. It uses a language model encoder, because I don't know if you know, but when you write something to generative AI, the first chunk is the encoder, which takes what you write and turns it into numbers. And you can do some things with these numbers, right? So if these numbers can be used for the machine to understand, they are usually called embeddings. So it takes a sentence and turns it into a vector. And everything you write is represented in the same number of numbers. So there's the vector, usually a fixed length, 1,000 values, 3,000 values. And that's what the language model sees. But these vectors, we can do things. Then, for instance, then we have two texts, we can calculate proximity because they are vectors and they project text into a vector space. And then you can use basically vector operations. So in this case, we use clustering. This is a complicated way of saying it. There's the sentence BERT model that turns sentences into numbers or embeddings. Then there's the dimension reduction, which is like PCA, makes it, from 1,000 dimensions to less. Then there's a density-based clustering called HGB scan. Then once you have the clusters of texts, you have a count vectorizer that basically tries to understand, using this class TF IDF, tries to understand what are the words that are specific to each of the clusters. And that's all. It's not very hard. This optional part I didn't do, so we don't need to go through it. Again, embeddings are numerical vectors, and they capture relational semantic information. So that's why language models can understand what we write, right? Because they have this, when you turn sentences into numbers, for them that's enough. And for us, in this purpose as well. We also use something called key phrase vectorizers, so that we don't use just words to represent the clusters that we get. We use phrases. So phrases are things like, I don't know, a beautiful day instead of day, things like that, right? So back to our data. We got 20,000 articles roughly. These are the keywords that were associated by the authors. So we can see deep learning, representation learning, machine learning, artificial intelligence, knowledge, neural networks, convolutional neural networks, natural language. So we got what we wanted, right? So this is a way for me to see, am I talking about knowledge and AI? And it seems so, right? It seems that the most popular keywords are related to the things that I wanted to research. And then these are the affiliations. Interestingly, China is the most productive country in AI research. So we're talking about affiliations. And as you can see, there's some in Europe. This is not very visible. Maybe I should have used a different scale, but China is clearly the most productive, followed by the US. And then the rest of the world is lagging behind, clearly, right? There's you can see something here in India, Australia, Central Europe as well. There's something, but very little. And let's go to the results then. So we analyzed these 20,000 abstracts of machine learning knowledge. And these are the visualization of the clusters. So in this visualization, each little point is a cluster. And then there's some density kind of aura around it that kind of suggests that these are, and the colors represent the different clusters. So, for instance, if we look in the right, you see that, for instance, the blue on the right says topic 7, action recognition, right? And I don't know, topic 9, deep hashing, image retrieval. And then topic 16, person identification. So you see visual object tracking. And then I started to look, okay, so proximity means some relatedness, right? So, okay, you can see that there's this part seems to be related to facial recognition, person identification, like visual tracking, right? And in the other side of this graph, for instance, you have neural architecture, anomaly detection, fault diagnosis. Okay, so I understood. Okay, so the spatialization is also actually helpful to map the field and to see what are the different things. And then if we go down, the same thing happens. For instance, on the right, you can see, for instance, things like in the first, like the bottom, you can see things like character recognition, things like dialogue systems. So you see, like they seem very different from action and architectures, right? From vision, and here it's like entity recognition in the bottom, and then to the left, word embeddings. So I thought, okay, from this perspective, I can map the field and kind of try to understand what is AI knowledge, right? This is the question here. And then I started my own interpretation, right? And I found out the first finding is very simple, is that there are two main focuses in AI knowledge. One is related to practice and automation, and the other it's related to knowledge, epistemology, let's say. So they try to inscribe knowledge, right? Scientists actively try to code knowing, or better yet, learning systems, right? So, and it's interesting. So what does it say? It basically says that AI does and AI knows, which is, this is not rocket science. It's not, but it was a first finding that I understood that this was the main division, doing and knowing. And doing, or automation, has two main aspects. The first is things like code generation, fault diagnosis, anomaly detection. And I thought these were related to doing, right? What is the doing here? Maintaining and designing technical systems. Maybe it should be designing and maintaining technical systems. But the idea is that, machines generate code, so they generate new systems, and then they maintain it. They do fault diagnosis and anomaly detection, which is interesting, right? And I thought about this as a kind of a new ecology of machines, where there is evolution, where there is regenerative feedback. So this is the first thing that I understood, that, okay, what does AI do? AI maintains and designs a new, let's say, ecology of machines, right? Which is self-regenerating, or at least is coded to be self-regenerating. And the other thing is related to human interaction. And human interaction has two components. One, I'm looking here to the left, action recognition, facial recognition. And the idea is, I think, human readability. So what can machine does? Machines not only kind of create new machines and maintain machine systems, they also interact with humans. And one way is human readability. And why does it matter? It matters because it seems to me that these are enabling prediction and control, right? So if we are amenable to, if we are intelligible to machines, if we are read by machines, our actions, our expressions, our emotions, maybe we are, maybe we are now being integrated into systems that are usually systems of control, of prediction, of, with instrumental systems, with a clear goal, right? And the second one is things like recommendation systems and conversational agents, right? And these are supportive systems, right? So this is also let's say, the automation of human interaction. And what does it tell me, or at least how do I interpret it, again, from my sociological lenses, is that we are integrating and accelerating both work and consumption. And basically, this feeds into the previous one, right? Because the more we interact with machines, the more you are able to extract patterns. So it not only accelerates labor and consumption, let's say, like supports, right? Supports. It further integrates us into, or makes us more intelligible or readable by machines, right? So this is the two human interaction parts. And I finished the doing. So again, to recap, what does AI do? It automates the creation and maintenance of systems, and it interacts with humans both by reading and by supporting humans, right? And then we move to epistemology, again, knowledge, right? So AI does, we understand this, but AI also knows. And here I would like to think about 3 epistemological tensions. And this also comes from my analysis of the literature. And they are representation or non-representation, like we were talking before, specification, specific versus general knowledge, and then sensorial inputs, which actually this could be related to non-representation. I don't know now, that it just crossed my mind, but this was what I prepared until now. So what is the tension related to non-representation? Here we are talking about knowing, and representation, again, is, we usually also talk about mental representations, right? Media representations, mental representation. And here there's a tension between, for instance, deep learning, which is this kind of machine number crunching approach to AI, that it's just is almost like the sheer volume, like the we're talking about millions or billions of variables that they call parameters. So, and then in the end result, nobody can understand, because if the engineer creates a neural network, and if it's millions of parameters long, and then we ask, okay, so what does it really do? Even the engineer who coded it will say, okay, here are the billion numbers. This is what it does, right? This is what it does. And if you ask, okay, but what does it really do? Then now we are talking about explainable AI. There are people working on turning this sheer volume of numbers that is beyond comprehension into something you can understand. And so these are, but they are emerging from data, and they are unintelligible, versus symbolic reasoning, which is what people call good old-fashioned AI, where the coder codes the rules. So rule-based AI, where you can actually understand what it's doing. Okay, and what does this mean? And here I saw a short circuiting, right? Like if this deep learning, which is the emerging paradigm, if this is being used everywhere, then we are kind of short circuiting the possibility of acting. Because if it's unknowable, it alienates individuals, right? And it alienates what I call here teleology, which is basically the articulation of ends and means. So if we cannot see what is happening, we also don't understand how to articulate our own ends and means, because this requires intelligibility, planning, knowing. Okay, so this is one of the tensions of non-representation, of this tension between symbolic versus unintelligible deep learning algorithms. The second one, it's 3. The second one is between domain-specific knowledge and universal knowledge. So people talk about context adaptation or domain generalization. So how does one AI that is working for doing something, how good does it perform at doing something else, right? And here we can see that now we are always talking about AGI, which is this artificial general intelligence, right? And it's the meaning of OpenAI, right? So what kind of problems can this mean, right? This tension between domain-specific versus universal knowledge. Well, first, it reminds me of this modern drive towards knowing and controlling, right? Modernity, we can see, like our modern project is a project based on the control over nature and control over humans. Statistics was born in order for population control. And then we can think about veterinary medicine. Lots of students, they study vet, and then they realize, okay, I thought I was helping animals, but now I understand veterinary medicine is actually to control animals, to make them useful for us. So again, this project of control is in this universal drive that it has, right? This one knowledge, things like local knowledge, situated knowledge, ways of doing and ways of knowing and ways of being that are, maybe the product of many years of cultural activity and maybe very adaptive for that local context, and actually maybe even relevant for someone who lives elsewhere, right? But if we go with this kind of homogenizing approach, maybe we lose something, right? Maybe we sacrifice something. And maybe we reinforce power, right? The power of one way of seeing. And now I come to the last one. I'm sorry, this is a bit long, but I'm reaching to the end. And this is about the sensory-based aspects, like visual tracking, action, things that are related to sensorial input versus things that are symbolic from the start. For instance, language. Language is symbolic from the start. There's no language in reality. It's something that we come up with, and it's so abstract that I can speak, I can write, I can, Morse code. Like language, it's just pure difference. It's a system of differences, symbolic in this sense, right? There's no reason why a tree is called a tree other than convention, but the tree is only has meanings because we say, okay, a tree is not really just a plant, it's something different. A tree is not a person. And you go to the dictionary and you see what tree is or isn't. So language is a kind of a closed system of differences. And this is very different from other types of input that are messy, that are in the world, that are, that come from reality, right? So here it's a bit the difference between concepts, right? So knowledge and this idea of definitions, concepts, versus precept, which is perception, right? So our perception deals with many crazy things, like crazy noises that sometimes we don't even identify. So this is another tension that I found, like the AI tries both to understand language and symbolic representations, and it tries to understand reality, which then it kind of gives us another interface, right? So interfaces with the world, with the real world, right? Which is then related to automation, I guess. So this was the kind of research. This is the results of my research. But then the question, and this is maybe why I think this is important for thinking about the future of our democracies and the future of our societies, which is this. So until now, things like knowing, speaking, seeing were very connected to life, to particular, like particular living and cultural forms of life, and to particular contexts as well, right? And now we are seeing that these kind of capabilities are being decoupled from life and are being integrated into technical structures that are expanding every day and at an accelerating pace, right? So what does it mean for us? And I try to always tie the discussion of the findings to this idea, but I think it's a much deeper idea, right? It's like nothing that it could be exhausted in 30 minutes presentation, but it does. This is the big question for me, right? Because what happens now? What happens when machines know? What happens when machines speak and see, right? And of course, the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, who will be able to control these new mechanisms? And it allows for such a bigger centralization. What power dynamics can emerge from here? It was most likely reinforce existing power differentials and inequalities. So this is where I would like to end. So thank you for staying with me. I hope it was not too boring or complicated, but I did want to, this is what I wanted to share with you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pedro. I will change now to your face, the screen. And so the students, and we can ask you some questions or make some comments. Do you have some questions for understanding? It was a quite complex presentation. Perhaps there are some questions which was not so complex?
No, I had a bachelor thesis about picture classification with convolutional neural network. So I've made it by myself, so I understood it because I have background from it.
You understood it quite well, and was there something special interesting for you, or?
Yeah, I think like in general, I have chose 1 semester ago this topic from my thesis because I found it in general quite interesting. So I find this as well also interesting because it's like really similar because he's talking about different kind of types from AI, from picture classification through sensors and everything, or person identification. So I find this topic in general really interesting. So yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments from your side?
I think there's someone raising the hand in the
yes.
Moodle.
It's Juana.
So, I would like to thank you for the very interesting presentation. It was for me like an anatomy of what's happening inside, and it's really important to understand it, because if you want to criticize something, it's really. And I would start from your last slide, raising the question of decoupling from reality and so on. And I've heard from a very interesting presentation of a colleague at our university, Markus Proschager, that in the last time a lot of data may be trained with self-generating. So a lot of models may be trained with self-generated data. And the impact on the diversity, on the production of the content would be quite devastating. What do you know about it? So maybe what is the impact on?
So I've also heard someone talking about this as this amplifying kind of feedback loop, that this will, of course, seem kind of. First, there's this homogenizing idea, which is already existing system, which obviously cannot exhaust the richness and the wealth of human existence, right, and human contributions. But now they will be taken as if they would be able to generate all the different perspectives, etc. And this is what they call synthetic data, right? And I fear that this will be the consequences are unpredictable, because then we are talking about complex systems and things, like the butterfly effect, right? Like what little difference in the original training can have, like along the lines if things amplify and feedback, right? We probably cannot understand, because the very reason is because we don't human oversight. We don't want humans to actually, because it's expensive, etc. So yeah, but it's unpredictable. I would just say that it is that it will narrow down the possibilities of, at least through these models, it will further narrow down, and maybe in invisible ways, because we will think that things are represented there. But yeah, so I don't know. I didn't think a lot about it, but for me, my fear is that there will be small little things that we would not even pay too much attention, that were, let's say, upstream little differences. Then in the downstream, when it outputs something, then they will possibly have like much amplified effects.
Thank you very much. So, thank you.
So, please.
Okay, I also have a question. Yes?
Yeah?
Can you hear? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Ask regarding the topic you said, so the tension between deep learning and symbolic reasoning. I wanted to ask you if you could kind of explain that again, because I'm quite interested in symbolic reasoning. And as my second question, I also wanted to ask if we all know that like deep learning has, in its usage right now, can have quite the effect on society. But I wanted to know if you also found out anything specific for symbolic reasoning.
Well, I didn't go deep into this. I can just tell you a little bit that the symbolic reasoning was associated with things like what usually people would call expert systems, and they were basically kind of rule-based AI. So you understand the difference, right? Like the difference between an emerging pattern-based, statistical, neural network-based approach and things like rules or even probabilistic models, right? So probabilistic models and rules-based models, they are transparent in the sense that you can predict what they are doing and you can kind of understand and make sense of it, versus the other model, which is usually so large and so non-representational, right? So mathematical or number crunching in its operation that it's almost like a black box you cannot understand. I think symbolic systems and expert systems, they were very used in things like, air traffic control and things like that. This was something that did have applications. I don't know much about it. I'm sorry. And then the second part of the question was the implications of either systems or one in particular?
Yes, so I was interested in the implications of the symbolic reasoning systems, but I guess as they are transparent, it is still the case that there are no real adverse effects when they are applied.
Well, I would say that there are always effects, right? Like I have this mantra, probably it's not mine, probably I read it somewhere. I mean, I just don't remember, which is technology is not bad, technology is not good, but technology is not neutral. And I think this is something to keep in mind, right? Every time we apply a system, we are dealing with a specific way of handling stuff, right? If all you have is a hammer, every problem is a nail, right? A bit, right? So if you have a system, you always have to perform some kind of violence to the world in order for it to adapt to the system. So even a system that we can control and predict, we are already thinking like, okay, what's in the system, what's out of the system. And then if it's in the system, how does the system ingest, right? How do we grammatize, right? What is the grammar of this system? Like what is the input format, right? Can it just take anything? Will it be good at handling different languages? So even, I don't know, let's say a social security issue. Will an expert system be better than a social assistant? That the social service worker, for instance, can talk to the person and say, okay, look, maybe you really don't fit this category, but if you do something like, I don't know, do this course or whatever, then you'll be able to. Maybe an automated system would also lose, right? And it doesn't need to be a deep learning system for us to understand how technological implementation always has some kind of impacts, and there will always be good or bad. There will also maybe good ones, like it's transparent and we know what to expect, right? But this is also applicable to deep learning systems as well.
There's one more question.
Okay. Thank you. Actually, I learned.
Loud.
Okay. I learned a lot from what you actually presented, and it was very insightful.
Sorry, I cannot hear you.
The presentation was good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just a little question on the impact on the economy. Right, you talked about the emerging technology affecting the power dynamics, and also it will further widen the gap between the poor and the rich, right? So the question is from the graph you actually presented initially, where China and the US are dominating the current situation. So this is not from what you actually did. My question is more like what you think in this situation, right? So you think that China being in this picture, there will be a huge impact on other countries? You understand? You know, it's already currently in the bottle currently because of the whole thing happening currently. So what do you think in the next 10 years? What do you think the effect would be economically and also with employment?
Okay, so just one note. There is someone in the chat raising their hand. So just to tell Uta that maybe it would be worth to go to it. But before we go, I think that there are very interesting economic dynamics from this. So the first one is in terms of labor, and I think that what will happen, because historically technology didn't result in better, I don't know, more leisure time. Like we were thinking, when we have automation, workers will work less, and have more free time. This never happened. On the contrary, when technology is implemented in production, usually what it results is unemployment, which means that there are more people wanting to work, which means that wages will go down because, if you don't want to work, I can just fire you. There are 100 people queuing for the same job, right? So this is an important aspect, right? This doesn't seem to change because technology, even though it's the product of social knowledge, it's privately appropriated. And not just that, we actually, it's such an important part of our life. Technology, digital technologies, the way we communicate, the way we organize our lives are increasingly dependent on these technologies. And we let companies, profit-driven companies, and we autorgate, right? We kind of let them, and we tell them, you develop this to us. So it's almost like our second nature, and it's in the hand. So there are many questions about just at this side of the, let's say at the general labor relations part of the conversation. In terms of geopolitics and international relations, this is very interesting because, as you know, or I don't know if you know, but there's a sanctions on China, and there are certain chips that cannot be sold to China. So the United States decided, okay, China is now a rival. We don't want them to have access to the cutting edge chips. And what happened? Interestingly, China started to try to do more with less. And then, for instance, they released DeepSeek that, the OpenAI stock value went crumbling down, NVIDIA stocks went crumbling down, Tesla, all the tech companies in the US went down because China said, okay, look, since I don't have so powerful chips, here's a model that is more, resource economical. And not just that, for instance, and then they started to do things like rewriting the firmware of all chips. So all chips that were meant to work in a way, Chinese researchers started to go inside the chip and change its programming, because part of the chip's operation is still software, in order to maximize what it does with the old hardware. So you can see that this may be a different model of innovation, right? And it's interesting to see how there are different models of innovation. We could even say, okay, one model is based on eternal growth and operation, and new iPhone every year, new shiny product, new more. Whereas maybe there are other different modes of production, right? And we could argue how much China is really a communist country or socialist country or a capitalist country. But maybe they do have some alternative. And this is interesting to see, right? How will this play out? Will there be other models of technology development coming from countries like China? And what are their impact on the world? That's very interesting question. I don't have a answer, but I think that, just to ask the questions already kind of puts the thinking, a bit further. And I think it's interesting.
Yes,
sorry if I didn't answer.
We have one more question, Yetian. Yetian, one.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the very comprehensive and very complex presentation at first. I have a lot of questions, but I have two simple questions. First, I hope it's simple. First is about the clustering, because you talked about China is the biggest the country in this research. So because I'm Chinese, so I was wondering. Is that your result also presenting that all the publication the data from China? Because in China, as I know, the AI or related such a publication or in Chinese and or within the country. So how did you this process to acquire the data?
So first, I filtered all non-English language papers from my research. That's a limitation that I should have mentioned. So I just look at English language papers, although even some non-English speaking journals have English version abstracts. So there may be some abstracts here that are not, that the paper itself is not, and I didn't look into the whole paper. I just looked at the abstract. So this is a limitation of the study. I only looked at English language abstracts.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And even then, China was ahead.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So which means because it could be the censorship, it could be possible if access to the jump out the other side of a wall, it could find out more the data come out about the question just now, how it's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The second, I'm just assuming, because I knew that the restriction in the country is not actually publishing in the international journal. It's the system, the academic system in the country like that.
That's interesting. For instance, I didn't know this, but it makes total sense, right? Like, I didn't try to, jump over the firewall. No, I didn't try. But now that you mention it, now I'm curious.
Yes. The second question is that a paper or book relate to your this research I can read.
So this is still ongoing research. I still haven't published it. So there's nothing written yet, but soon, I hope. Soon there will be.
Okay, thank you. Where we can follow with your publication afterwards?
I will send to Uta. And I mean, I don't know if I have, like, I will also, I don't have, but I will write my email in the chat. So if anybody has any doubts or wants to write me and ask questions, please feel free. I'll write it here. I should put it in the last slide. That's what I usually do. But it's jacobetti@uni-potsdam.de. And I invite you all, if you have any questions or if you would like to, to discuss this, or if you'd like to work on this topic, and please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pedro. I only want to close up a little bit with the themes here in our course. As I understood it, it's a very interesting question that the machines, the new machines societies arouse or societies develop, they give back a picture of society. So it was very interesting for me that also in your biography you started, with informatics, yeah, and then the question rose, okay, we have the machine, but how it does work? The very very big machine, human societies. How do they work? Yeah, and we have here not only, of course, this how does the machine AI work now? So this is a very big mystery, and you open it up a little bit, yeah. But what does this say? What does this say? What pictures this? What mirrors? Which mirrors this our society? So the societies in former times, they started to understand themselves, for example, through the clock. If they, like you said, the hammer, if you have the hammer, everything is a nail. So if you have the clock, everything, is working like a clock. So human societies, of course, are really, really complex, and we always try to get knowing and to recognize something about ourselves through recognizing or get findings about the machine. Yeah. So as I understood, of course, there is always alienation. Yeah. There's always alienation through mysterious processes within a machine. But there is also alienation, like Karl Marx always said, within the machine of society. So these, and for me, it's very, very, I'm very thankful that you combine these both very big machines, society on the one hand and AI on the other hand. Of course, it's combined and it's with each other. And thank you so much for these both dimensions, because this thinking about society and also about geopolitics and power dynamics, like you said, is very important for technicians as well, yeah, because often we don't have these questions on our screen, and so we have to ask ourselves, what is about unionizing IT workers, for example, yeah? What is about how do IT workers or technicians intervene in human societies? How do they want, or how do you want to intervene? Yeah, and how could we help that our societies become more democratic and not more alienated? Yeah, and it was also very interesting for me what Yetian said. Yetian Ouyang, did I understand you right? That you said that it's not allowed in China to publicate in international journals?
Well, it's the system is not because the academic ranking or the disqualification is only in Chinese.
Okay.
It's a closed system there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah. I hope that it was interesting. Now, Pedro, perhaps you could say a final, or Anna, do you want to say a final comment?
Well, as I've said, I've really enjoyed your presentation, and not only enjoyed it, put me to think on further questions, also, for instance, explainable AI and the human agency. So we know it, and what happens afterwards, and all the other things I have to process now. But thank you very much, and I would love to keep in touch with you. And all the best.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Can I just comment two things about alienation and So alienation, just one thing, if in the time of Karl Marx, alienation was seen as the result of the appropriation and the distance from workers to their activity because of private accumulation of the product of production, now AI accumulates the capacity, the worker capability of production, which is, I think, a second order alienation, right? So if before, I don't know, the artisan would become an industrial worker and he would say, okay, now my work is gone, but I'm still the worker and the system still needs me. Now, for instance, voice actors were against AI because what will they do for a living if AI does voice acting, right? It's incredible. And then about the geopolitics, for instance, I was in the other day in a labor union meeting of related to migrant workers in Germany. And we were talking, and there were like people from China and there were people from Germany. And we were talking how, for instance, auto workers in Germany usually see auto workers in China as kind of enemies because, you know, who will be leading the electric car industry, etc. But in this labor union, we were saying, no, we should actually think that the exploitative relations actually makes us allies, and we should actually collaborate because the rights of workers in China will affect the rights of workers in Germany. Yeah, so that's all I had to say. But thank you for listening.
Yes, only one more question. Could you write the name of the unionizing where you were talking about, please? Perhaps there are some...
It was Verdi. Verdi, and yes?
Is there some section for tech workers in Verdi? Do you know this?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think so. It's actually vre.di. So my connection there was the people who were doing migrant work. But I'm curious now. I wonder if they also have this. I think they were talking about being stronger on the tech sector because the gig economy, etc. It's still a complicated aspect of unionizing, right?
Yes, because there is a big tension also between the neutrality, the so-called neutrality of technicians and power dynamics. So there is a big tension between this unionizing, to unionize technician workers because it's always the dynamics is always conform the market on the one hand and conform the neutrality on the other hand. But you have power yourselves. You have to organize yourselves. So this is these big tensions are what we are talking about.
Yeah, I just posted the chat a link to a tech branch of Verdi, so if you'd like to take a look.
Thank you so much. If there are not any questions for now, I would suggest we make a break for a quarter of hour. We meet again at 11:30 here. And thank you so much, Pedro, and thank you so much, Yetian Uyang. Are you still here afterwards, Yetian?
Yes.
Okay, we are looking forward and we keep in touch, Pedro. I'm so thank you that you are here and have a nice time. Thank you. Enjoy.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I need to leave, but I'm in this family celebration, so.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sì, faccio il gioco mio.
Ja, das ist
Я услышала слово Маркс. Если бы я так говорю, чтобы просто переработать вот это мгновенное отвращение.
Я сам не убиваю, я сам люблю коммунизм. Понимала даже австрийцы. Помню, когда
Ich bin wirklich gespannt, was passiert mit dem Tech, also überhaupt es ist sehr schlecht. Weil jeder ist irgendwie sehr atomisiert, oder wie kann man sagen?
Es ist so, dass die politische Technikerinnen immer schon ein großes Problem war, was erstaunlich ist, weil die für Zentren der Gewerkschaften haben. Sie sind sehr stark auf diese Neutralität. Einerseits sind sie marktkonform sozialisiert und andererseits sehr stark und das ist sachlich. Genau. Und das dann zu verstehen, die Welt, die menschliche Welt, die menschliche Gesellschaft funktionieren wie sehr begrenzt sein. Es ist die Power Dynamics, ist ein ganz wichtiger Part der menschlichen Welt. Und das ist etwas, was wir Techniker sehr schwierig zu verstehen.
Also die eliminiert die Abhängigkeit. Also das muss irgendwie bekämpfen.
Ja, deswegen ist ja sozusagen dieses Besprechen miteinander, das ist sozusagen ein hochpolitisches Denken.
Ja, das ist wirklich eine gute Sache. Aber es kommen sehr gute Fragen. Also zeigen Sie wissen genau, was es bedeutet. Ja. Oh, cool. Ich schaue, ob ich auch noch kurz auf die Jetzt bin ich dran, oder?
Ja, jetzt bist du.
Aber ich werde nicht so lange, so ein bisschen reden.
Ich muss mal schauen, wo das hier werden. Weißt du, wo ist meine? Wo ich finde, dass das heißt es. Ein anderes Blatt, wo wir weiter nicht bin, so ich aber nicht vergessen. Ach so. Oder hast du es gesagt? Also, steht. Ja, fast nicht. So, weil ich jetzt schauen darf, dass ich die Tür aufkriege mit der Karte. Achso, weil die Tür sperrt ständig zu.
Also die Tür draußen?
Ja, diese Tür.
Also das stellen wir einfach ein.
Achso, ich kenne es schon.
Ich versuche es aufzusperren. Achso.
Ich kenne es. Es gibt nur viele Völkermorde. Also, ich habe einen Feind, der wohnt einfach in
Völkermord macht das daheim. So Beton gegossen, dann mit so Rundstapler.
Der ist ja online.
Das ist wirklich so Betonelement.
Der ist ja
Und jetzt was auf der Straße stehen, auf der Autohälfte. Ja, genau. Die 4 Meter lang.
Er ist anders, Alter.
Hast du nicht mal gesehen, gerade abgeklopft auf der Autobahn, ist schon mitten drin. So viel grenzmäßig zum Zahlen.
Er macht die Baustelle ran.
Ja. Ja, jetzt so wollten wir es nicht.
Ich war halt da, wo es auch ohne
Die Leute da stehen, auf Baustelle, was macht die Ausfinanzstopp bei der Baustelle, kurz vor der Abfahrt, die seit 5 Jahren, da gibt es nichts weiter.
Machst du da, wo du Drunk und West
Ja. Die ist seit ewig, da wird nichts gemacht. Du siehst nicht eine Spur, ich verstehe nicht, wieso wir so viel schon alles umsteckt wird. Die machen noch einen Punkt oder was. Und umsteckt wird 4 Kilometer vor.
Ich hätte über ein Jahr davon, also richtig. Ich bin halt Christen.
Sehr starke Folgen für Premier League Spiele.
Premier League. Also das ist So also reflecting on the master's thesis course und AI and cybersecurity research, absolute Software Engineering Kurse, also hier ist auch so eine und es 5 neue Teilnehmer gibt es das ist auch ein Event, also ja, genau, also wir 4 Studierende werden jetzt mal Event kommen, wo wir das präsentieren und auch müssen wir Menschen
Wir werden trotzdem da die Tür offen lassen, wegen der Luft. Es ist so Eins war das Thema
Er macht es komplett anders.
Schau unsere Wirtschaft. Du musst
4 Seiten Videobetrieb, andere Applikationen 4
Bro, das wird einmal so groß.
Das ist ein Vorteil.
Muss immer da große Fans. Ich sag's dir, aber
Aber dann so, jetzt noch mal Google auswählen. Das ist ja Gefühl, das ist doch schon. Das ist egal. Die Rede von der ja, das meine ich, aber ich meine, das ist doch mal voll das. In der Türkei, da musst du das aimen. Du musst das Loch aimen. Das war damals Standard. Jetzt sind wir dabei. Überhaupt kein Problem. Überhaupt nicht. Okay. Auch rausstehen, reingehen. Danke. Das ist ein Bildschirm, oder? Vermutungen und Ängste und sonst etwas. Aber es wird relativ vorzugsweise. Also, was es für Auswirkungen gehst du ein paar Schritte, dann packst du wieder, dann gehst du ein paar Schritte, dann packst du wieder. Genau, das können wir da eben.
Aber auf jeden Fall die ganze Zeit
So we are back. Please come into the circle if you want. You both. Thank you. Here and here. Yeah, so there. If you where you want, so you can. Do you need some help?
I have to go back.
Okay. We'll look at the presentation. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's better to sit there. Yeah.
I wanted just to make it. Not make it.
I just want to show.
So we are back, and now Oana Mitrea, she will present her examples.
Thank you, Anna. So I'm really glad to be back, and I see some of you from the last time. I recognize you. I think there are also people who weren't there when I presented the first part about mobility. So shortly about myself, I'm currently a professor at the Carinthia University of Applied Sciences in health and social work, but in a master that copes with digitalization, disability, diversity and digitalization, and mainly with assistive technologies for persons with disabilities, but also diversity matters. And for this reason, I would like today to talk with you about some aspects that were not discussed the last time, or not in detail, concerning diversity, not only for users, but also the diversity of the technology development in general. The preoccupation, my focus with mobility and autonomous driving dates from my former activity at the University of Klagenfurt, Institute of Intelligent Systems Technology, Transportation Informatics Groups, where I worked for 5 years with Professor Kiamakia in the field of advanced driver information systems and emotion recognition. It was a very nice time, this activity went in the direction of driver modeling for autonomous driving therefore, I took autonomous driving as an exemplification for our lecture, because I think autonomous driving does include a lot of matters that are interesting from the point of view of technology assessment and the risks that are involved there. And the last time we did, our group work was dedicated to the exploration of the risk constellations of autonomous driving on the basis of an article of Armin Grunwald, and you did a great work then, so I really like it. And well, starting from this point, I will just suggest to let the risks aside a little and to concentrate on other issues that were not covered before. I would start from matters, from a topic that Pedro addressed before, and it was this very interesting distinction between automation and knowledge, which caught my interest. So can you remember it? It was the slide presenting this distinction between what automation can do, so face recognition, action recognition, classification, and so on, and the generation of knowledge itself. So new contents were also an interesting topic for me, but I did not ask, so I will ask Pedro about this. Now, take only the automation and think only about it. And this is really a very interesting field, because AI is, and machine learning, of course, is involved there a lot, and also the actions that are contained there. In the field of automation, we have a lot of technological systems that are now in place or working, and not only in the mobility field. Can you name me some examples of automation, or automated systems that you can talk about in all possible fields, so not only mobility? Not autonomous systems yet, but automated. What is automated?
Without human interaction.
Yes?
ATMs.
Okay. Okay, thank you. From the factory, for instance. Industrial automation. Okay, can you give me some examples, maybe?
Sometimes in factories, they use robots fully automated.
For packaging, for example.
Packaging, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or even for the production itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Another, what comes into your mind? What is autonomous? What is an autonomous system? So, going further.
A system that works independently.
Okay, so this is a very good definition. What does it imply? What is inside, so that the system can work autonomously?
To make its own decisions.
Mm-hmm. On the basis of what?
Based on information around it, decides on something.
Okay. So working alone, without human intervention, do we have a lot of autonomous systems now in practice? Do you know? What are they?
I guess there's a lot of research for these autonomous systems also in manufacturing, where with sensors, they try to make decisions themselves of how to react to situations, maybe build something.
Okay, so autonomous is really, so take this is in mind, without human intervention from the beginning to the end. Maybe a little controlling is still there. I'm not very sure if autonomous systems are really without human intervention or controlling, supervising, or so on. Do you know about it more? Maybe
yeah.
Once? Yes?
An AI cannot work completely alone. For example, ChatGPT needs an input to give an answer, and the same is for robots, for example. Okay, a robot does make the work alone, but he needs the input from the human.
Exactly.
He needs to turn off a specific task or something. So working completely alone, ChatGPT without a human is nothing.
So we have the matter of human-machine interaction involved there. And
I think the key thing is it's going to work alone based on a predefined constraint or something. You know, if it's red, do this. If it's green, do that. So you need a human being to give it those instructions, and then it takes it from there.
Well, thank you very much for your inputs, because it's very interesting to think on the role of humans in autonomous systems in general. And they are involved as interactors, as users of the system. They are also involved as technology creators, and they really, how can I say, impregnate, they really put their own subconscious attitudes, representation of the system in it. It's what we call I methodology. Maybe you have heard on it in other lectures, the way that technology specialists, creators, impregnate, how can I say the English word, impregnation, inscribe. So inscribe their own view about product and technology in it. And let's think first maybe at who is involved in the creation in general of AI and autonomous systems as well, because AI is very much involved. How could you portray these specialists? So can you give us a short portrait, a generic portrait of people that work in this field? So just each one of you give a short idea about it. How are they currently, and maybe how should they be? So do you have a short comment? Yes.
I work in a branch where we automate specific processes, but not with AI. So just automate specific releases or processes to release something. And the specialists who were contributed is normally a manager who has knowledge about the processes or the tasks who they want to automate it, and then the specialists who have, like for an example, the IT specialists, the programmers, and they were like, if we automate something, for an example, I automate something, I need to always keep in touch with the manager or with compliant people or something, because it's like you need to have specific requirements, specific ISO requirements, but you also need to make the right thing, and the manager has the most knowledge about the task or the processes. So you need to always keep in touch between manager, specialist, and
project manager, specialist.
I also want to add.
Yes.
Yes, I also want to add that there's a legal advisor in the autonomous the regulation, because it's a big topic now about the error if that occurred, also the boundaries between human and machine.
Thank you very much. So I can complete. I will gladly complete the picture showing the internal organization of the teams and also of the flow. I think that in creating automating systems, of course, what can we tell about the geographic localization or the regional organization of the work itself in automation? Is this very concentrated regionally, or it is globally organized? What do you know about it?
I think it doesn't really matter. I think a lot of the tasks don't have to be in a specific region. For example, I did like a small internship where I worked at this place where we did like a lot of cloud tasks. And then I think the important people in the automation were like data engineers and like DevOps specialists, where they automate like pipelines, like a pipeline, ingesting data, transforming it, and then so it wasn't important where the person was, to be fair. It was just like, if you have the right skill set, you do it.
Locally independent, working online and so. Okay, so this is actually the yes, of the work today. Yes, you can start.
Yeah, I want to argue that maybe it need to specify in what level and what type of autonomous system. For example, like more general, like now the example the previous colleague described, and also there will be certain automatic system. It will be, for example, geographic sensitive, the climate sensitive, or it could be the local culture sensitive, or it could be its purpose sensitive. And I want to add it on to a very early your question about the examples about the autonomous application, because currently Ukraine is the biggest country applies such autonomous weapon system. It's all, yeah, and it definitely bound with humans, and and the war. It does need a human and the soldiers in front to monitor. Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much. I cannot see your name. Please excuse me for this. Is now? No, it's not. It's not. What is your name, please?
Me or?
Yes, what is your name so I can address you because I cannot see, I can see only the presentation, therefore.
My name is Yetian Ouyang.
Yetian, okay. Yetian. Okay, thank you, Yetian, for completing this. So we have now, so with this short introduction, actually we have reached the phase where we can define the profile of the developer, of technology developers, also as a very complex, a very global. I don't know, my next question is also a very diverse one from the point of view of the social demographical characteristics. What do you think? So is there a tendency in this field of work to have a diverse team at work or not? What do you think? What do you know about the AI, the profile of the AI specialists in general? But not about automation in particular.
I think you need a team of people that know very specific things.
I did not understand.
You need a team of people that are specialists in like different, like different areas of IT. For example, for AI, you need someone that trains the machine. You need a machine learning specialist. You may need someone that handles something entirely different. So you need a team of people that have a lot of intellect in different stuff. I think so.
But you're talking about the specification, the diversity in terms of specification. Thank you very much. This is also an important aspect of what I'm talking now is taking the sociology in the boat. So, yes, I'm talking about the social demographical cultural diversity, which is also a very interesting thing. We want to develop a technology that is suited to the needs of everybody. We discussed this time. We have to know, we have to feel something about the needs of everybody. And what do you know, for instance, about the number of the women working in AI field? So do you have any idea about it? Have any figures that you already know?
So I would think that in general AI, because it is a very technological field, women are probably still a minority. But I saw a project just recently about AI focused in research, and it was 30%.
30% now.
Yeah, which was a pretty good number. So
So please, thank you.
In my company, it's like that's in the more technician departments. For example, in the IT or yes, of course there are women, but the majority is men. So I guess in other departments, women are more majority, and for an example, in human resources. So yeah.
But this is the feeling that you have, or the numbers, the concrete numbers.
A specific number, I do not have in mind, but
a general representation.
Feeling.
It is correct actually. So your figures are looks very good for me because the last number I had was 22% at the global level, so to say. But the tendency was also recorded, and the number is increasing, and also the representation, the actual representation of women in this field. So now talking not only about women, about sexual identity as a category of diversity. I've heard a very interesting presentation at the University of Vienna 2 years ago about AI applications created by queer people. So, they put very distinctive and very interesting perspectives of their experiences in the creation of the systems themselves. One aspect that was discussed there were the categories themselves in databases. Maybe it's a thing that is about which you're aware, all of you, about entering sharing information about your gender. It's not a very taken for granted thing. So you cannot, for a short time ago, only 2 categories were possible, and now there is a third included, but not everywhere, and so on. And this presenter shows us that this does create a lot of problems, also technical problems, because a lot of things must be changed after this first categorization, change of categorization in the systems themselves. But on the other side, the problem is related to the feeling of the excluded persons, of not belonging nowhere. So, and this was really a bad thing. So we produce exclusion by creating a technology in a given way, so that a person cannot write his appartenance. And also, I'm thinking about myself. I'm a Romanian, and Stefana. So my name is Stefana. It is I don't know what is the. So I have to put a zero. What is the English word? S. Like in Turkish, exactly. So, and I really don't like it when I have already to write Stefana everywhere. So I have to leave away a part of myself, and it is not possible to, or I have to change it, but how change? So S. So it's really a problem to include this diversity, possibility of diversity in the systems themselves. Now, talking on the basis of this simple example, I'm going back to the autonomous systems and autonomous driving. And the next question is, we have with highly specialized profile of the developers to do. From the point of view of their competence, they have to have a lot of skills. So it's a hard job to create an autonomous systems embedding AI knowledge, robotics, and everything. So really very, very skilled people that are involved in this, which are not really diverse. So one must admit this fact. And on the other side, we have the matter of the users, which is a very fuzzy and very vague thing so far. We really don't know for whom is autonomous driving intended. So it's a little, it stays somewhere in the clouds, and we develop the technology actually not really thinking about users. So it was a critique that is very, very much linked to the creation of autonomous driving, because it is seen by also in the surveys, acceptance surveys that are made, it is seen as a sort of technology push that derives from roadmaps and from top to bottom thing to promote a technology that is strategically important, because we have to limit the number of accidents and for the reasons of traffic safety. But one does not know really what use scenarios are really meaningful for the people, and do they really reflect the diversity of everybody? So not in the sense of creating an autonomous car for a given category, so for persons with motoric disabilities, for instance, but something that in the framework of the universal design really suits everybody. And so I'm coming to the matter of diversity, and I'm screaming about some such things that are not suitable for this setting. The Mentimeter, you can do it afterwards. It was just an opening. I'm remembering shortly the technological basis from the last time, telling you again that autonomous driving is indeed highly complex, interconnected, strongly data-driven, and includes a lot of technologies there, and therefore there are specialists needed for this. And, I'm going to the scenarios, to the basic scenarios that were imagined for autonomous driving that are included in the book of Maurer et al. That I recommended you last time. And these scenarios still represent the main scenarios pursued by several companies such as Mercedes, Volvo, and so on, in creating their variants of autonomous driving on the road. And the first scenario that is maybe a very how can I say, very close to the imagination of everybody is this one, Autobahn Automat mit Verfügbarkeitsfahrer, the highway driving robot with the availability driver, which is called Autobahn Pilot, so highway pilot, where there are dedicated lanes for autonomous driving, so no interaction with the system is possible. And it is therefore easy for autonomous driving to use this scenario. And while entering the dedicated lane, the control is given to the driver robot, and the driver can relax, but has to supervise the system. So this is also the actual legislation. You have to look what's happening there. And while going out on the highway, the control should be taken from the human again. So only for this portion. This is a scenario that also, in accordance to the results of the survey, was highly accepted by everybody. And then we are we can describe the other scenarios that are to be implemented in the more complex, very dynamic urban area, which are very challenging indeed, because this is a highly dynamic environment. There is everything possible there. So the risks, the perceived risks by the potential users are accordingly higher. One of the scenarios that ranks the lowest on this risk perception scale is this one, the autonomous parking, wallet parking here, which is visualized here. And this, according to this, the autonomous cars drives very slowly, really slowly at almost a pace ridden, and the goal is to park itself. So you just get out of the car, and then the car parks itself in this form. You see, a very efficient form, which is coordinated by a parking network, a specific system that goes with it, who is going out and who is coming, and so on. And if needed, the car comes and picks you from a given destination, but also very slowly, not producing any accidents. Because of this fact, also the acceptance of this scenario was quite high. And we have now the last two scenarios, vehicle on demand, here, and the full autonomous driving with availability driver. I will take first this one because this is what corresponds to the level 4 of level 3 and maybe 4 of automation, where the availability, where driving, the autonomous driving, is restricted to several areas of the city where the situation is not so bad. So the context is not so dynamic, and you can just leave it driving. And of course, the availability driver should supervise it. And we have it, the full variant, vehicle on demand, no driving wheel, no pedal, nothing inside. The interior can be customized as you want. It is really a driving robot, no availability driving, nothing. So this is the last variant, which is actually not allowed on the street now, and it's also very demanding in the sense of giving control to technology. So these scenarios were very in-depth analyzed in this group, and are, as I've said, the basis for the other scenarios. Next to it, I would also point to the public transportation variant, so autonomous driving in the form of a small bus that you can see in Berkshire now at the university here. The purpose was here during the COVID crisis in China to transport students in the campus, and the perception of this form was also very good. So I took this presentation on 2 slides because I wanted to highlight the differences between the individual transportation, so autonomous driving in the variant that you will pick somebody, so as single transportation, as motorized transportation, so car transportation, and public transportation. Well, we have in general for automation to do with a human-centric design principle. I think some or many of you are familiar with it. So this collaboration between human and machine. Oh, okay, and according to this, the basic premise is that irrespective of the degree of automation, humans are ultimately responsible for the overall system, which is quite interesting and quite challenging for people because they cannot control something. How could they be responsible for everything? And man and machine are metaphorically regarded as cooperation partners in this respect. Human functions are assigned on human and machine in function of the situational requirements. The usual function of the humans is that of the users, passengers, or drivers is here as supervisors, and they have to have some skills in this respect. So how can I supervise something if I don't understand what's happening there? And because new challenges are always arising, considering the roles of the humans, the human-centered design approach requires a further development, broad social discussion on fundamental questions regarding the desired role of automation, so in everyday life. So this human-centric design principle really deserves following afterwards. Well, and pursuing this discussion further about the role of humans, I tried to make a short brainstorming in my head about the role of humans at the level 4 of automation, where a driving robot, the autonomous car, is restricted to several areas and human has to supervise it, and to the level 5, full automation. And as you see here, what can they do at the level 5 as users of the system? Decide about the destination, route, traveling times, supervise the driving, this form of supervisory control, which is also found in flight automation. In test situations, special licenses and training are needed to be an emergency driver, to know how to intervene, how to recognize that the system has a problem. Promptly intervene and deactivate the self-driving mode in exceptional unpredictable traffic situations, and also do something else while driving while remaining constant. At the level 5, you have to decide about the destination, route, and traveling time by means of the supporting maps, get in and out the car, do something else while driving while remaining constantly attentive, let things transporting, and also external monitoring of the system, for instance, as systems administrators. In the end, you see that the roles of drivers are quite diverse, and they cannot be fulfilled also by the whole category of persons that are involved there at the same way, so in the same mode. And because I talked so much about diversity, I would like to show you also, to tell you something about it. We have still time. Okay. Diversity as a concept stems from the development of anti-discriminatory measures as reactions to different forms of discrimination in companies and universities. And in 1978, there has been a process of the regent of the University of California versus Lake, where this first use of the concept of diversity was produced. In the last time, we see now 1978 is quite not so far in the past. We witness an increasing use of this concept mainly in connection with diversity management, and we lately witness a whole discussion maybe maybe more in the last 3-4 months concerning the diversities of concerning the departments of diversity and equity management in the global companies starting from the US and so on. A very controversial discussion which also reached Europe and that also contributed to the awareness of to the raising of awareness about this. Diversity is currently widely used in the social sciences in general, but also in media and political discourse. mainly in connection with migration. If you look at the sociology of diversity, you will find a lot of discussion about migration groups. There are seminal studies that are conducted in this field about the older migrants and the newly comes, so to say, which are very interesting and very shocking, I could say. And also, there are some concepts that are very popular, not popular now, but very interesting, such as the multiple belonging and or the super diversity of our societies, where the exact classification of diversity of a given profile type member is not very easy because of one of the multiple belonging in intersected crises, or the fact that the own diversity is amplified by the experiences that somebody had, for instance. I cannot define myself only as an Albanian immigrant, but I still have other characteristics that amplify my diversity and possibility of description. There are 6 core dimensions of diversity, which are maybe well known, or you, I think. What do you think? If you want to describe somebody as in terms of the main characteristics to refer to its diversity, you refer to the age, refer to ethnicity, gender, religion, sexual orientation, disability. Disability is also not only included in these classifications as disability, but also state of health. So it has also the positive connotation here. And the interesting fact about these 6 dimensions of this diversity is that they rarely apply to individuals in isolation. If you have a discrimination, a possible discrimination, this happens in an intersectional way, in the sense that somebody may experience a higher degree of discrimination because of the race, for instance, and sexual orientation of the race or disability that work together. A black woman with disability is in a really bad situation. It falls between all how can I say, support strategies, because nothing is really directed to this specific. Well, if we look again at autonomous cars, we have a sort of interesting mirroring of the society in the way that the autonomous car is represented to the general public, and this representation also embeds the visions of the technology creators of this time. These are not isolated, as you can see. Here, I presented you also just time this advertisement about autonomous cars from the 50s, where the family stays at in the living at a table, like in the living room, and the father is in the central position. The family, the classic family, 2 children, father and mother. They play something. The father is in the dominant role. It has a wheel, maybe, to internet. They could not really stay away from the situation. And then we have this one, so vision of the present. How can I say, what differences can you see between these two? What can you perceive just spontaneously?
I think right here there's space for only one person.
Yes, the individualization, single society, and so on, so which is quite striking. So, yes, and what can you see there? What sort of mobility is there present? They are very. It's so how can I say, free time mobility or not? What do you think? Business mobility?
Leisure.
Freedom?
Leisure.
care. Business? Not business, the opposite. I cannot hear you very well.
I said leisure.
Leisure. So exactly. So leisure mobility, all right. So, or maybe, I don't know, I thought also when thinking about it, I see leisure mobility because of the guitar. Yes? So this was an element. What other element pointed towards it?
I mean, if it was just for business, you shouldn't have more than one sheep. You have more like a wardrobe.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, because it's interesting because for me it looks like a business trip. The autonomous car takes you from your home to the destination, having everything packed. You do not have time to take the usual clothes, sleeping clothes. You just sleep like this, but you have a guitar there to remind you of your life. So it's not everything. But this was for me very representative for business mobility regimes where you have to do what is necessary and you can employ. It's also interesting that you thought that leisure. The next thing that I wanted to show you is this matter of the multiple belonging of potential users to several crises. And in this matter, there is interesting research done with the creation of scenarios that are as diverse as possible. And one of these possibilities is to consider the needs of the families. And if you want to create an autonomous car for a family, you must first think what is a family now. So what changes have families in the last time undergone? So what's happening with them now? And we see the first representation of the singles there. We have also families, but the classical family does not apply anymore. We have this situation of patchwork families with a lot of mobility going up and down and around and so on, with a lot of needs for transportation. So not only picking children, for instance, but goods also play really a very big role. And in this respect, for instance, this is one situation, bringing children to school only to remember it. I will not recommend it. Going further, there is an interesting blog and also preoccupation of Volvo, I think, to cope with this diversity need of the families and to understand how autonomous vehicle may impact families, also taking into consideration that families do have a strong attachment to their cars, not because they like them, but because they need them. They have to transport a lot of things, and they have some habitual roles that are very much inscribed. They are very traditional. They have a long tradition, these of the taxi driver, the family taxi driver for children, for elderly, for instance, a role that is taken mainly for the women, which does raise some interesting questions about gender roles here. And the car is regarded by families as an extension of the home, a space to deposit, transport, to always live together, in any case, a very personal space. How can you reproduce this situation, a very personal space, in autonomous driving, in the situation that you think of deprivatizing autonomous cars and creating floats and so on, fleets? So these are very interesting questions that have to do with diversity. The needs of the elderly. What role will they play? So in the situation of the outcome of autonomous driving, and there is here the whole span between very active, the silver agers that would like to experience something and to see how this new technology would work, the needy ones that are very vulnerable in traffic and may be wounded by an autonomous car, that must be considered in the models as really a risk in the traffic environment. And we have, last but not the least, the needs of the persons with disabilities. And I would like to remind you maybe here of the definition according to the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. These are defined as someone who has long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairments, which in interaction with various barriers may hinder their full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with others. So the focus here is not on the, how can I say, impairment, the Schädigung, but on the barriers that may be put by a system in front of them. And, which scenarios of autonomous driving will enable the reduction of the most barriers, a higher degree of autonomy, and self-determination of persons with disabilities? This is an important question, not to make the technology more demanding and dangerous for them. Well, in the last of this, my last slide, I would like to put you attention some topics for reflection, considering the diversity in autonomous driving. The first two topics are involved with the diversity of the environment and the users themselves. So the dynamic environment of driving is very challenging indeed. If you do not have dedicated lanes on the highway, everything is very, very difficult. It is essential to understand and model how an autonomous vehicle should respond to the other users, not only inside, but also pedestrians, cyclists, and other cars. Driver models, as also Pedro has emphasized, considering AI in general, are constructed with machine learning methods, basically on the basis of training data that come from basically from real-world observations. There are a lot of test drives done to collect the data and data coming from sensors and other interactions. They are used to construct a model that should predict and replicate how a human driver might react in different scenarios. And this does really raises questions in this context. How well do the training data catch the diversity of the entities? To what extent are all categories of drivers involved in the observations themselves, which I very much doubt, because I don't think it is the situation so, as I heard and read, and how to recognize and minimize the biases in the training data themselves. To the last aspect deals with the diversity of the developers, and to what extent are the developers of autonomous driving themselves diverse, see the core diversity dimensions in relationship with the potential risks of the AI methodology. So I'm just leaving you with these questions in the mind, and I'm ready. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What comes to your mind concerning these questions, concerning these problems?
Oh, it was too much. Perhaps we discussed a little before the matter of diversity.
The only thing that comes to my mind is like I think in some specific areas, diversity is not so important, and that's a problem, to be fair, because like in some areas, so it can be overlooked because in a lot of serious areas, like let me say, if I went to the bank to withdraw money, for example. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really matter who I am. The money in my bank is the money in my bank. And, you know, whether I'm black or a girl or a woman, it doesn't really matter. So some engineers overlook the importance of diversity because they think they can apply the same thinking to all aspects. And you know, and so they overlook it, you know, a bit. So that's my only general contribution, I think. It's I would see, like, for example, in an autonomous vehicle, for the most part, it wouldn't really matter who is in the car, for example. All that matters is that the car gets, you know, from A to B, and then people would be able to pick the type they want. Do they want it on demand? Do they want it to be monitored? Do they want it to be, you know, half and half? Do I want to have 50% control of the car? So it will be down to the person to pick it, like what brand of it makes sense to them. So.
Well, this is a very important statement. So it doesn't matter at the first sight.
Yeah.
Because this is a constatation of the situation. So actually, this is what.
Well, I think in some areas it will be important. Like if a firm was conducting like a user experience analysis or something, obviously in those kind of situations it will be important to ask your users. But in the creation of it, like in the general creation, in the functionality. It's really easy to see why the diversity area is like a bit overlooked, I think.
Thank you. It is in connection with this statement. I think at the fact that maybe sometime you will enable young children to be taken by an autonomous car and left to the school by alone without your intervention, so on. And it is from the point of view of the safety, not only data security, but the safety measures and so on. It really counts to do to enable some strategies to give you peace of mind, for instance, of this stasis. So this consideration of a given group and implementation in the possible array of everything is quite important. Please excuse me, I have a problem with my so I'm going back. Just an accident.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So perhaps we could have a little break now, yeah, because she will come back, and later on we will have then I give you some questions for researching in groups again, and you will work in your groups, and then we come back and find here and discuss your findings again. Now we will have a break for about 15 minutes. Then we will talk about the findings and about the presentation of Oana, okay? And I will give you the questions for your groups. Yeah, it will be about sustainability, about ecology, digital ecology, about diversity, about equality. So there will be some questions for your groups, and you will have to find some products, some processes which support equality and diversity and sustainability. Oh, she comes back.
Well, I had a dental accident, so just please don't look at me. So unfortunately,
nobody. So, do you want to discuss now again, or do you want to make a break?
I would love to make a break.
Yes. Okay. Because now we will have a break for 15 minutes, and then come back and we will discuss then what to do. Okay? So let's start again to the last part of our lecture. We want to summarize or come back to summarize our ideas and the topics of the lecture today, and take the connection to autonomous driving. Technology is about relationships. This is the paradox that we have, that most of the people think technique or technology is not about relationships, not about human relationships, and it's the other way around. It's deeply in the heart about relationships. And therefore, we have the problem, we have not one person, we have 8 billion. 8 billion, is this right? Yeah, 8 billion, almost 8 billion persons or human beings in the world, and they are different. Yeah? And therefore, how are these technologies able to connect and to transform and these relationships between 8 billion different people? Yeah. And so this is the big question of autonomous driving. Yeah.
How can I say, an extreme variant of technology that is very autonomous, where this loss of control risk for many people to a greater extent can be perceived like in the case of other technologies. But in any case, there was for a long time there has been a tendency of technology developers to implement this stance. Imagine the user as everybody. So this very, how can I say, very fuzzy, very undifferentiated view about the users in general, which did provoke a lot of problems, not only in the acceptance and not related to the market aspect of selling technologies, but in practice. Technologies have been misunderstood, have provoked sometimes different dangerous paths. Not talking about the military use in general, the dual use that is described in many potential applications and systems. Now, the last aspect I would like to bring you to the consideration is to diverge, to go away from this perspective, designing for the users as everybody, to think to enlarge the perspective with the needs and problems and also possibilities of a larger category of people, and also to raise the issue of the bias that is embedded in the development of many advanced technologies which have AI at the basis. And I would go from the last point, from the last example here. Maybe you have heard so far of the project and also of the publications. The MIT project Gender Shades is for you a topic. Have you heard of it, of the results and of the procedure itself? So I think no. No, okay. So MIT really produces a lot of interesting research at this boundary, so interdisciplinary boundary, technology, gender, social science in general. And this project can focus on the way that leading tech companies, commercial AI systems, properly recognize and classify individuals. In this case, the project team identified a misgendering of the women and darker-skinned individuals at almost all of the systems that were taken into consideration, which highlighted the need for inclusive AI testing and subgroup demographic appearance accuracy reports. This was one consequence of not regarding diversity, not embedding diversity in this, because it really produced problems for people who are misclassified, misrecognized in this respect. And in the end, so the authors, I would really recommend to read the whole of it, the whole publication, and you have also their you have the homepage of the project. It was this stance: automated systems are not inherently neutral, but not the technology in general. It's neutral. They reflect the priorities, preferences, and prejudices, the coded gaze of those who have the power to mold artificial intelligence. And the matter that was highlighted here was one of the intersectional discrimination. The fact that there were categories that were really very not enjoyed, but they really were very negatively touched by the systems. The darker females in this respect, by analogy, we could think a lot on autonomous driving, the potential of autonomous driving, of discrimination in autonomous driving, when particular categories of participants to the traffic are not properly recognized because they are not there, they are not in the training data, they are not regarded. So the consequence will be an accident in this case. So it is quite obvious, not the access to a social system, but really a fatality. So it is really important to think at this diversity from this perspective. So this is actually my conclusion, that autonomous driving must, also from my perspective, would have to regard this diversity as an important topic, and not only this one, the autonomous systems in general, AI, everything that it advances now, and not only the hammer and the nail, the simple perspective of non-advanced technologies. So,
thank you. So, are there any comments now on this?
Not that I said that I like it so, so maybe you will think different. But okay.
Okay, good. I think they are a little bit tired now at the intimate. So now we will come back on this as well in our next exercises. As I told you, I will now depart I will divide the screen. Let's try this.
You have to select on the screen.
On which? Here?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Cornelia, are you here? And Yetjan, you're here. Okay. Now I want to show you the questions which you have, which you should work on in your groups. Doesn't work. Yes. I formulated 4 questions. So, at first, we have now today, we have the themes diversity, democracy, and ecology. First question is, according to studies, the internet and its supporting systems produce 900 million tons of CO2 annually. If current trends persist, internet networks could consume 20% of the world's total energy within a decade. What resources are needed for us to work online? So this invisible technology of internet, what materials, resources, energy does it use and need? How can we measure digital pollution and footprints of online activity? What is digital ecology? I gave you there a very, very good podcast about of activists of Joanna Merson, and she gives you a lot of information also how to measure these streams of material, also of water and of data centers. Which we have to take into account when we think about the ecological consequences of our technology. And please research in your groups and find some processes, some associations, some other techniques which help to reduce the usage of energy, resources, and materials. One example is here the Fairphone. Of course, she also, this is Fairphone company, it's a company in Netherlands. Other examples are these refurbished or refurbed phones or technologies, but perhaps you find some more examples in your research, which you do together in your little groups, which could be helpful for example, like Ecology, like this searching machine, which plants trees. We never know, is this really helpful or is it only greenwashing? Please search for findings concerning this first question. Please search for finding concerning the second question. Women are 14 times more likely to die from a climate-related disaster than men and suffer disproportionately from resource depletion and consequential poverty. Women play a predominant role in agricultural production, especially in the global south. What should we do to support women and the poorest around the world? Please research or search which kinds of techniques, processes, habits, associations could help to reduce the gap between the poor and the rich, between the genders. Which technologies and products could help to raise equality, and which platforms help to support the equality between global north and global south. I gave you one example of this guidance for a gender responsive technology needs assessment. It is from the United Nations, but perhaps you find other techniques, other processes, other materials, which help to reduce these gaps between the poor and the rich. So, third question, please search for unions, tech unions around the world, and discuss if you could take in these unions as technicians, and if you which are good reasons to take part in unions, or if there are any reasons not to take part. Please discuss this in your groups and present your results afterward. And the fourth and last question, please search for technical instruments which support global democracy. Of course, we have here, for example, Wikipedia, open source, Linux, Ubuntu, other techniques which decentralize knowledge, not centralize it, and which could spread transparency, etc. And within all these, these are these four questions you should please discuss in your groups. And I gave you some material where you can search on the Moodle and find something for you. And first, I wanted to show you one little film about this film was made by pupils. It was made now by pupils here in Carinthia about technique, about technology and human relationships. And so therefore, and I want to show you that this is important, what I said before, that technology is not apart, of course, from human relationships, but it's in the heart of human relationships, and it's your responsibility to form and to shape society through your technology. Yeah, and therefore, I want to show you this. It's a very short film of youngsters, of pupils, and yeah, but here. So this was quite good. This was a quite very dualistic film made of 18 years old youngsters now here in Carinthia, and it shows you some picture, it mirrors some views or perspectives on technology. It's really dualistic, yeah, and you have positive relationships of human beings on one hand without technology, and there you have these very isolated and poor and sad pictures of technology on the other hand, yeah, without human relationships. And it's your responsibility to combine these both and bring the relationships within the technologies and to make it, yeah. And what is your impression of this film? Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not agree. I cannot say not at all, but in some ways I'm not agree with terms of technology. Can do such
you do not agree. You do not agree with what?
With the author of this video. I mean, like technology, it's pretty wide field. Like maybe social medias do this stuff to his life. Because as I've seen in the end of this video, this guy shaved his head, and it's pretty popular trend in the social medias, for example, TikTok, a lot. Making the videos like some stuff like embrace masculinity, be like Kylie Jenner, like he shaves his head at the end of the Fight Club, you know. And I don't know, I just seen this thing in this video. Like, yeah, social medias, they can waste your life. It's obvious, but they waste your life not because it's social medias. It's they influence in your life because of you. You see this, you see this stuff, and you accept it in the way you accept it. I mean, for example, maybe it's based on the pretty usual feeling of envy. Which is
of what? Of envy?
Envy, yes. Because, for example, this...
Envy. Langeweile, yeah?
Yeah. For example, this guy from this video can see videos of successful life and Instagram, and he says to himself, "Oh my God, I'm the loser. Look at this guy. He got everything. I've got nothing." So maybe that's I call it social media effect, not the technological. Like it's only my opinion. So.
Okay, yeah, of course, it's good. It's good. I asked.
And it's pretty personal thing. For example, when I'm seeing social medias, I see this guy, for example, which is pretty successful, and I said to myself, I don't care. Okay, it's his life. I don't really care. He can do whatever he wants to do. He can take part of it. Yeah. So maybe it depends on the interests. Like this cult of rivaling between each other, who's better life, who's better wife, who's better car. It's spoiling your life. And this guy, I guess, he got influenced by this pretty stupid trend, in my opinion. For example, maybe the most important thing is that you live your life as you wish, but not as social media shows it. Like watching social medias, like this boy from the video did, he unverbally he sees as a standard of life. Like you have to live a normal life. You have to have a beautiful car, beautiful life. Like, but it's not a standard. It's only opinion. It's a life of somebody. Your life is your personal thing. So that's the point. So maybe this guy, because of it, like I call it influenced by society. So
he's a very young guy. He's 18 years old.
Yeah. So maybe that's a pretty domestic problem. Not domestic, but pretty popular problem in the society.
But to me, it also just seems like any other addiction. I mean, you could take
addiction commercial for alcohol and make it the same, basically.
Of course.
And you would have the same situation. I don't think necessarily the problem is even social media or any of that even. Same as with alcohol. I don't think alcohol is a problem. 95% of people drink, don't really have a problem with it. Probably some underlying issues, and then the person secludes themselves, and then they use social media extensively. So it's not really social media itself. It's just, there's like an experiment that they did 50 years ago where they put rats inside cages with nothing else except for water and, I don't know, some drugs. And the rats would always just take the drugs, but the moment that they put the rats inside with other rats and made like a little rat heaven, and it was nice inside the cage, they would actually never take the drugs inside. So it's more of seclude. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
I read about this.
Yeah, you read too?
So theoretically, the opposite of depression wouldn't be like happiness. It would be connection. But he already secluded himself before he got onto social media. So I think the person has more underlying issues than just, scrolling on Instagram. It's just like everything else, basically.
Mm-hmm.